Good morning to everyone with us who's on Instagram and or on the conference call. I'm Avraham Calhoun, your spiritual coach for professionals and a subject matter expert in conflict resolution. And this is the Spiritual Hacking Conference Call. Happens every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I am very excited about this morning because we are talking about this question that has continuously come up since the onset of me working with my clients and bringing spirituality into the workspace, which is, should I stay or should I go? What if I don't like the advice or the values of my company and I hate my job every day, but I feel like there's nothing I can do? And what do I do? I feel stuck, right? In this experience of feeling like you have no power in the organization, but you also have no power to change your reality. What do you do? So that's what we're going to talk about. And I think the reason why I got inspired about this is because on Saturday evening we had a lovely spiritual wellness event for a group of young professionals based here in Richmond, Virginia, and it was a question that came up after sort of the engaged learning section that I gave. And what this individual was going through, it was basically they work in the healthcare industry and they provide some sort of service related to their clients that they work with. And they felt as though some of the employees who are above them in the organization were giving bad advice and or we're not necessarily going the extra mile to help people when they really actually had the resources to help them. And this individual was basically telling me that they really like the work they're doing. They love working in healthcare because it feels meaningful to them, but they don't feel like they have a voice where they can actually change the way in which their leadership is working with their clients. And they also don't feel like they have a way to change their job. And I told them, look, in any situation like this, you've got two options, really. And I know it seems like these options are scary and that therefore that makes them not real options, but they are indeed real options, right? So I think that's the first thing I want to say about this is know when you are in an experience where you're feeling stuck, you're feeling like you can't do anything. Of course, you've got things to take care of. You've got bills, you've got family, you've got car payments, whatever it may be. You need income, right, in order to survive. And you feel like you can't take that step or take that risk because it's scary. We've all been there. We've all been in that fear of like, I don't know what to do. I feel stuck. So the two options that I gave her were, the first one is you as an employee always have a right to speak to the correct individuals that you need to speak to in order to make changes in the organization and or to help you feel better and perform better in that organization. Feedback should always be welcome as long as the feedback is being given in the right kind of way in the framework. And most organizations have that type of framework. And if you are an organization that hasn't sat down and really looked at your teams and how everyone is giving feedback, I really encourage you to figure out what the best feedback structure is for all of the people working in your organization so that you know how to channel that feedback upward, downward, and sideways. So this employee felt like they were extremely uncomfortable. They were very uncomfortable with talking to their leadership because they don't feel like their leadership takes anyone seriously. And this is a common thread in the workspace right now. And from the perspective of an employee who's working under leadership, it can feel really horrible. You feel like you're powerless. You feel like you're trapped. You feel like you're not being heard. But for those people who are in leadership, sometimes it feels like they can barely keep their head above water because they're getting so many opinions and ideas from the people that they're trying to manage. And sometimes that makes it really, really challenging to actually figure out what the best step is or what the right thing to do. And at the end of the day, you really can't please everybody. So there's a lot going on in the workspace that makes the imbalance of power a real hindrance, not only for the people who don't have the power, but also for the people who are in power. So your two options, the first one is, okay, option one, I'm going to actually have that meeting and talk to my leadership about the way I'm feeling currently in the organization and give that proper feedback. And I said, look, there are ways to go about it, right? You don't just want to feedback vomit without any sort of structure and framework and preparation. And there's a way that you can deliver feedback and deliver ideas in a way to make them more receptive and understanding. And I'm not going to get into all of those details right now. That's more we're getting into negotiation and the art of persuasion. But know that those pieces exist. The thing that I explained, though, was the moment you speak up in an organization, you may begin to make enemies, because there are always going to be people in an organization who don't want to take personal responsibility for some of the things that are occurring. And at the end of the day, even if you channel the feedback in a proper way, pushing back at power sometimes results in negative outcomes, right, for the individual. And that's something that you really need to be aware of and cognizant of. And it shouldn't. I want to be very clear here. Leadership should always be listening to their employees, especially if their employees are doing it in a respectful and strategic manner, right? I'm not just sitting here talking about complaining and, sharing every single thing that comes to your... No. There is a way to channel information and channel energy upward so that you can actually make positive change in an organization. But no, if you are trying to channel that positive change in an organization, there are always going to be people who are trying to spoil that peace, not only for you, but for everyone else as well. So that's option one. Option two is it's time to leave. And I know it's really, really scary because you've been working in this organization for 10 years, but what is it really worth for you, right? Every day you're coming home feeling stressed out and burnt out. You don't have the energy to do the things that you used to do. You're not seeing the people you used to see because you're just feeling so horrible in this job. And then you have to go into that workspace and watch your leadership and watch the people around you make decisions and behave in ways that are just not healthy for you to be in that environment. And the problem is you are allowing your fear to control you in these moments. And it's very normal for us. We allow our fear all the time. And that fear is part of the ego. It's keeping you back from really achieving what you are able to actually achieve. So know that fear is not necessarily something to run away from. It's something to listen to and learn from it. So if you know, okay, I'm scared because this is a big risk to leave my job, know that, okay, take some responsibility for that risk and say, okay, what does that action plan look like? How do I actually start to make that move out of the organization? And that's where it starts to get into what are the problems that I'm having in my current job? What kind of job would I really like to have in the future? What kind of organization? What values do I hold? What values do these organizations hold? And you start to do that job hunting, and it can be a long and tedious process, and it can be really, really challenging. But until you take that risk, you're essentially just sitting in your stress, your negativity, and that toxic work space. And so what I always tell people is you can't necessarily control the people around you. You can't control the situation and the experiences that are happening to you, but you do control the way that you're responding in these moments. And that is where your power comes from, is being able to control yourself, your reactive systems, and the steps that you take. And if you have the proper people around you, you're reading the right information, you're taking the right steps, you're going to be okay. And you're going to be able to make your situation better. Just know that it might require you to get a little bit uncomfortable. So, now I want to take a look at the peace with process and kind of analyze this situation. a little bit about how do I determine if I stay or if I go, right? And if I'm staying, then that means I'm giving feedback to the organization. So the first step in the piece with process really is quantum cause. It is the idea of cause and effect, mind over matter, and really understanding the interdependence of everything that's going on. So the first step is you're wanting to look at like, well, what is the cause of my experience? Where is it coming from, right? And then how might my own experience in the workspace be causing other experiences for other people? And so this is kind of like, it's all about the cause and effect of relationship. And so this tip comes really in handy when we're looking at power imbalance and power structures, because if someone is in power, they may have that power, but their power is coming from somewhere. So if you can identify that power, that power indicator, then you're able to have a better negotiation. The second aspect of quantum cause really is value and purpose. And this is actually our kind of moral compass, right? It's our values and our purpose is what allows our soul, it's what allows our true self to know whether or not we're in the proper environment we need to be in. So that's where that individual is kind of analyzing their values, analyzing their purpose, and they're realizing, oh wait, the information that they're giving these people, the decisions and the behaviors that they're distributing to people and amongst themselves and towards us, I don't want to be a part of this, right? I know that, right? So listening to your values and understanding what your real purpose is here on this earth is a really big importance about making peace with the self. Once we've kind of determined the root causes and whether or not my value and purpose is aligned with the role that I'm in and the organization I'm in, I then need to figure out, okay, where is my desire in all of this? And we call this spectrum of desire, really looking at, do I want to give this feedback and make changes as an organization because I believe it's going to help other people, or is it rooted in me just believing that I know better than they know, right? And we really need to understand and analyze our desire, because desire is a tool of our ego. So in spectrum of desire, we're looking at desire like a spectrum. And on the right side, you have the desire to share unconditionally. And on the left side, you have the desire to receive unconditionally. And you, the true self, is this thing that can kind of slide in between. So generally, when we're feeling really, really emotionally reactive, we're closer to that left side. We're wanting to protect ourselves. That's where the fear comes in, right? And I need to do things to protect me and only me. You don't want to be making decisions from that point of view in this kind of space. So spectrum of desire is really making sure you've got checks and balances on the root of your desire. Is it a purely selfish desire, or is it rooted in trying to make change for the better? So in the situation that we've been talking about this whole time, what I would tell this employee is, why do you feel like you need to give this feedback, right? Is it because you really believe it can make a genuine change? And really, let's dig into that and figure out why you think that. Or is it just because you don't like these people and you're annoyed with them? And that's okay too. Like, we should be honest about that. But no, if your information is coming from that space, it's not necessarily valid information. It's more like, okay, let's just take personal responsibility and change it for myself, change it for the better. Which then brings me to the last step, which is right kavanah. How are you thinking about this, right? Are you coming at this from only your perspective alone? Are you really incorporating what other people may be thinking and feeling around you? So when we're thinking about right kavanah, the first step is my mindset. It's the mindfulness, right? Not only the practice of meditation, but actually working on your consciousness and really fighting the negative consciousness that fuels conflict, tension, stress, and toxicity. And then the other aspect of right kavanah is getting outside of the self. When you are feeling negative and stressed out in the workspace or in your relationships, whatever it may be, you need to find a way to transform that energy. And if you can't be kind and sharing and giving to the people that are around you, I totally get that. Sometimes we're not ready to do all of that. But you still need to find a way to transform your energy. So you need to get outside of yourself and share. Go volunteer for something. Go share with somebody on the street, right? Always seeking those moments of giving is going to help you get outside of yourself more comfortably and more easy. So with right kavanah, we have mindfulness. We have doing acts of service. And then this last step is really setting cause-driven goals. So this is where the preparation comes in, right? Whether or not, okay, now that we've made our decision, now that we understand the root causes and how our values and purposes are working out, now that I've got tabs on my desire, I'm ready to actually come up with my action plan that's rooted in spiritual consciousness and not rooted in my own emotional reactivity. And so this is how the Peace with process can essentially help individuals make these types of big life-changing decisions. Thank you so much. My name is Avraham Calhoun. I'm a spiritual coach for professionals and a subject matter expert in conflict resolution. This has been the Spiritual Hacking Conference call. If you like this, please share it and tell everyone about it and follow us. We're back on, we've got meditation on Thursday evenings at 6:15 p.m. You can see that on Instagram and on the links in bio or peacewith.net. And we have some free classes coming up over the next few weeks. So be sure to engage with all of our free education. With all of that being said, peace be with you all and have a wonderful, wonderful Monday. Bye.